question. Please identify yourself.
I'm Eugene Williams.
There's Eugene.
Tomorrow,
There you are. Everyone loves Eugene.
tomorrow I'll be 83 years old.
Yay, congratulations.
I made that observation to know that I kind of fit in the period of 1960 and on through the massive resistance program. One more brag, and then I want to try to call on you, Larry. And that is my Charlottesville was the first city in Virginia to file suit with the court for what the meaning of deliberate speed. And after they closed the schools in Charlottesville, then Norfolk filed suit and Warren County filed suit. So we are proud of Charlottesville making that recognition. But the main question that I would like for you, Larry, along with back to many you and your panel, is that if you can find 5 minutes or so to help us to know where do we go from here.
I'll give you a personal answer later, but I want the panel to.
And the reason that the equation is so important, we take Charlottesville. We had last year the second highest dropout rate in this region, the second highest in our public school system, and you know most of them are black. Now, our superintendent, who is black, with 3 black school board members, get applause because we have moved the dropout rate from 11% down to 7%. But guess what? We still second highest at that 7. And so we need to know where do we go from here, because I think we have gotten to the point now that we don't need to concentrate so much on dropouts, but we need to concentrate on push-ups. Our black kids are being pushed out of the school system, and from being pushed out, we now have the statistic that they're being incarcerated. We have far more blacks incarcerated, yet we're only 12% of the United States population than we have whites. So we have a very serious problem, and I would wish that you can kind of work that in for about 5 minutes.
All right. Well, it's hard to do that in 5 minutes because that's a tough problem. But maybe we do it, where do we go from here? In the sense of what lesson did you learn from this searing experience that you had in being there and producing the film that would apply to the current problems and help to lead people to the promised land? Who wants to start? Remember, it has to be short. It's going to be short. It has to be a 30-second soundbite.
Very short. This might be analogous to what I see in the church. If you go into most churches, most of the parishioners are getting old. I think in order for the church to survive is for more youth to be brought into the fold. To answer your question, sir, we have to get our youth more educated, more involved. Many kids today have never even heard of the freedom rides. They've never heard of the civil rights movement. They know nothing. And it's appalling. I don't know how we have not passed the torch to the younger generation. The answer to your question, sir, we've got to educate and involve our youth. That's my answer.
And why isn't this shown in every school? It should be shown in every school.
Thank you. We are just in the process of getting the film out there. One of the things that we're doing is trying to get the film seen by as many students as we can. We had a great screening this morning with about 1,000 high school students. which is only the second high school screening that we've had. So, we're just starting to roll the film out. We're doing a lot of different things. One thing that we're doing is we're taking 40 students to recreate the Freedom Rides in May. And they'll write back and blog back, and there'll be some Freedom Riders on the bus with them, and they'll stop at all the points on the journey, and that's one of the big things we're doing. And so we are really, just starting to a whole campaign. My company is Firelight Media, and if you go to firelightmedia.org, you'll find out more about what we do, and also if you go to pbs.org/Freedom Riders, it talks about the outreach efforts and the effort, the bus ride that we're doing. And also there's actually, we're looking for students to apply. There's a whole application process that's outlined at the PBS website for students to apply. So so for students here, we're still looking for people to apply.
Wow, what a great opportunity for some people in this auditorium, young people in this auditorium.
Right. And to the gentleman that was just speaking, one of the things that we're working on, we're developing a film on what's called the school to prison pipeline, which is the idea that one of the things that schools do with what they call zero tolerance is push students out, especially black students, especially black boys, push them out and push them into prison.
Joan or Reginald?
Yeah, that's such a real complicated issue. Because if we had the answer to that one, we would not be in some of the mess we're in right now. But obviously, it starts with education. How do we better educate our children from the earliest years through high school, into graduate study and college? How do we get them to move through that ladder? One is we've got to have a mindset to do it. And when I say that, I'm talking about one block at a time, a neighborhood at a time, a community at a time, a city at a time, and the nation as a whole. I think education is going to be the key. Now, while we work on that, we also got to understand the realities that exist. That we're talking about many children who don't even know who parents are. And many children who have not learned what it means to be loved. Who don't know what it means to be loved. And so we've got to embrace that reality and just find ways to deal with the economic issues, the educational issues, and how we save our environment. Because if we don't have a good environment, then we're all doomed.
Our society as a whole needs to look at its priorities. We need to quit thinking so much about might make right and think about having something worth living for, health, education, what have you. And on the individual level, I think respect is the key word. Respect for each other, respect for ourselves. When I was during Obama's election campaign, I was in northern Canada, and my friends there were saying, what is this about don't vote for him because he's a Muslim? What does his religion have to do with his qualities that are necessary to be president? They couldn't even understand the issues we were raising. And respect for people across race, gender, religious, ethnic backgrounds, that we all have something to give and there's something to receive. And I think that's really crucial.
Great advice from all the panelists. We have one final question and then our uplifting, inspirational send-off from the Reverend Green. Last question.